It's been a very, very long day. Exit interviews are in the can. Let's start this process by focusing on the youth of the team and what the summer holds for this group of rookies.
You are Locked On Kings, your daily Sacramento Kings podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome in. I am James Hammer, Kings Insider for ESPN 1320, the Kings Beat, and of course, host of Locked On Kings. We have a very busy show today, and actually, it's a very different show. We're going to play a lot of video clips from today's exit interviews. Sacramento Kings, of course, finished their season yesterday on Sunday. They finished 22-60. Following the season, you get player interviews. That's kind of the way it goes, and then it will translate right into coaching and general manager interviews on Wednesday. So we're going to have plenty to go through this week. All kinds of things are happening. Today's show, we're going to finish with rookie Dylan Cardwell. He learned a tremendous lesson at the college level that is serving him extremely well in his rookie season with the Kings. In the second block, we're going to dive into Clifford building confidence on the way out the door. He had a very, very nice final 5 games of the regular season. And what does that mean for the Kings moving forward? Before we get into any of that, though, we're going to talk about Maxim Reno, one of our favorite topics here on Locked On Kings. He said he wants to become a monster, which I think is fine with everybody in Sacramento. So look, as the season wore on, the focus with the Kings completely shifted to the youth of the team. There's no question that the youth, this was a true youth movement year after all of the injuries started to stack up. And there are 3 players that really, really stood out: Maxim Reno, Clifford, Dylan Cardwell. And to be honest, when we're processing exit interview information, there's so much information. There's so many questions that are asked of these players. Interviews range from 3 to 5 minutes all the way up to like 15 minutes for a guy like Maxim Reno, who has really learned how to talk and get his point across, and who's a great interview, to be honest with you. So again, we're going to dive into a bunch of these clips and sort of what we learned today through the exit interview process. Look, Reno has become the main attraction the second half of the season for Sacramento. He's becoming more and more comfortable and confident as a person who talks to the media. It's something that we did not get early in the season. Max was always a little gun shy. And I think it comes from a couple of different things. Number one, he played at Stanford, which I don't think has a huge media following where he's doing interviews all the time. He also, sometimes was a star player, sometimes he wasn't. He's played for the French national team. And let's be honest, the star on the French national team, especially the U20 and all the U16, the U18 teams that Max has played with, is typically Victor Wembanyama. And so a player like Max doesn't get a lot of exposure. But I think what we saw this season was this really, really brilliant young man who just kept getting more and more comfortable with his surroundings and learned very quickly that it's okay to talk. You don't want to throw your teammates under the bus. You don't want to throw your coaches under the bus, but it is okay to be honest and upfront about your experience. And so I think it's been a really fun season to watch Max grow, not just on the court as a player, but off the court, where he's becoming so much more and becoming a real vocal leader for this team. We've always heard that he is a vocal leader, especially on the defensive end, but to see him come out of his shell and just get more comfortable, I thought was really cool. And we've got all kinds of clips here from Max Reno, but I want to start with one where he talks about sort of his punch list for this summer. So it's something that I asked him earlier. So let's roll tape on Max Reno. We talked a little bit like a punch list of things that you might want to improve on this summer. Have you started to put together sort of a list of things that you really want to focus on?
Definitely. Also have my meeting with coaches and Scott in like 2 hours, so we'll know a little bit more then. But I think the main line will be improve on everything physical related, your body, being a little bit more explosive, a little bit stronger, go side to side a little faster, have a better second jump, that kind of stuff. I think that will be the baseline, and then skill-wise, improve on what I've started to improve on at the end of the season. Keep shooting threes, tighten up a little bit ball handling, that kind of stuff. And then as the summer progresses, being able to include all the skills a little bit better in team action and team play. So I think this is what came up with me and my PD over the last couple of games. But as I said, we'll have the meeting after and officially write down what we need to work on.
All right. One of the things I want to point out here, which is something that is slightly amusing. If you see Max continuously looking up, he's looking up to the coaching office and to the general manager's office, which is right up above the practice facility floor. There's offices that overlook the practice facility and the two courts. And it's funny because what it felt like is he just got a note, or someone just showed up to his class and said, hey, the principal, you need to go to the principal's office. And, everyone's like, ooh, you're going to the principal's office? Because that's what it felt like. And that's what makes me smile, because it reminds you that he's 22 years old and just finished his first NBA season. It doesn't matter that, again, 22, 23, that, he's got a degree in mathematics and computer science from Stanford. It doesn't matter that he just finished his rookie season. He's still a young man who has to figure a lot of things out. And to me, it was just super fun to watch. Look, this is a 42nd overall pick in the draft. The fact that he averaged 12.5 points and 7.5 rebounds on the game, per game on the season is absolutely crazy. And look, I think some of the other things that were interesting with Max is he was very quick to point out, it shouldn't have been this way. He should have been playing behind Domantas Sabonis the entire season, maybe even Domantas Sabonis and Drew Eubanks. But injuries opened the door. It opened the door for him. It opened the door for Dylan Cardwell. It opened the door for Nick Clifford just to get more and more and more minutes and more comfortable in what their surroundings are. And look, I think you have to keep in mind, this is a player that sat there and watched not only 30 players go before him in the first round, but then you have to wait for the second night of the draft now. And then even then, 11 players went before him. And for him to be in this position right now where we're talking about him so glowingly, it really does speak volumes about him as a person, him as a player, and sort of him, what he could possibly mean for the future, both, for the Kings and for himself. We had this funny moment too, where, when did you have your coming to the NBA moment, but when did you feel like you belonged? And I just think it's a cool clip. So we're going to play that next. Max, was not like the moment where you had your NBA moment, but was there a moment where you felt like, I think I belong here and I think I can do this?
I remember 2 games, one of them being Utah, the beginning of the year, not the first one, but the second one. First one there, where Russ just went up to me. It was the fourth quarter, and he was like, look, I just need you to be confident, when I'm going to pass you the ball, really shoot it, be confident with it. And I think I had 12 points straight in the fourth, and then the very next game we go to Houston. I think I had 25 against some of the strongest big I've ever played against. So these kind of back-to-back really boost my confidence, and was you know what, after all, maybe I belong here. But it's only really once I started being able to produce more consistently over a longer period of time that I was okay, maybe now I understand what I'm able to produce. But at no point I ever was, okay, I'm there, I've arrived to the destination I want to be, I can just rest and this is good enough. I do feel once you start to settle a little bit, that's when it comes back and kick you in the butt. So yeah, that was around that time.
All right, great stuff from Max there, and I totally get it. Like, there was this moment, and I also want to shout out Russell Westbrook. Russell Westbrook did a lot to empower Maxime Reno this season, and whether it's Russ or some other point guard, the Kings are going to need to fill that role. Somebody's going to need to set up Max for the pick and rolls that he's so good at. All right, before we move on to Nick Clifford, I want to play. This is one of my favorite quotes from the day. It probably is my favorite quote from the day, although there is some good stuff here. Max discussed playing against Jokic the first time and just kind of what that was like. And it's really weird because if you look back, the Kings played Jokic and the Denver Nuggets like 3 times in the first 19 games of the season and never played him again. So we don't even know what he would look like today versus Jokic because all of the games he played against him was super early in the season. But there is this interesting thing that he says here, and I want to play it as a short clip.
Matchup that I've had this year, like I want to go back to them next year and be like, all right, I want to do better than I did, and I want to be able to win that matchup. So that goes without saying. But yeah, we have some absolute monsters in this league, and the goal is to become one yourself.
That is what you call a mic drop. He's getting good at mic drops. There are monsters in the league, and the goal is to be one yourself. Yeah, it's pretty spectacular. And I think Kings fans should be like, ooh, I got the chills. Look at that. You should be feeling that right now because your young big man just says that's who he wants to be. He wants to go up against the best. He wants to beat the best. And he's really excited to see what he looks like in year 2 as well. All right, let's reset after the break and let's talk Nick Clifford. We got good stuff from Nick as well. It's tax time, but for a lot of us, the old way of doing taxes is a lot. Trying to book an appointment, that's not the most convenient thing to do. Sitting in a waiting room with a stack of papers can get extremely awkward. Emailing back and forth and wondering if they really get your situation. But this year, you're getting a major upgrade. Intuit TurboTax now has in-person locations nationwide. You can meet face-to-face with a real tax expert, and your documents get uploaded straight to your TurboTax app on the spot. Just like that, you're done. Your TurboTax expert works to get every dollar you deserve while you get real-time notifications as you go on about your day. It's the relief of walking in and meeting a real person and walking out knowing your taxes are being handled the right way. Head to turbotax.com/local to find a store near you and book your appointment today. All right. Locked On Kings is part of the Locked On Podcast Network, now the #1 sports podcast network. Thanks for making us your first listen of the day. If you never miss an episode, it's time to make it official. Join the Locked On Everydayers Club and get ad-free audio, access to our members-only Discord, and more, all built for our most loyal fans. Go to lockedonkings.supercast.com. All right. Nick Clifford did not have the same type of impact that we saw from Maxime Reno, at least not statistically, but it's also not the type of player he is. He's not a scorer. He's going to be a good rebounder for his position, but he's not a huge rebounder. So like he's not going to stack up double doubles and stuff like that. I will say though, he's probably a lot more versatile than Max Reno. And I think one of the best things that we saw towards the end of the season is Nick Clifford sort of gained his confidence. We saw him as part of the rotation the entire season. But as he got deeper and deeper into the season, and as more and more veterans got injured or sat out or whatever happened, it opened the door for Nick Clifford to not just get minutes, but opportunities. And with those opportunities, I really do believe that he took off. We saw it through the whole second half of the season where he just kept gaining confidence. And the confidence played out on both sides of the court. His 3-point shooting number spiked. His defense just got better and better and better. He had these great moments against very good players where he just looked like an NBA defender. He also started to get way better as they gave him the ball and allowed him to create for himself and others. And look, over the final 5 games, I'm going to bring up the final 5 games. Realistically, it doesn't matter because the final 5 games of a season for a 22-win team typically is just, young players scoring points and doing things, right? But even if that's the case, if it's a young player who doesn't have an opportunity to go on and do those things next season, that's one thing. I sort of the Ike Diagu effect. Ike Diagu put up, I think it was back-to-back games, one with 33 and one with 30 to end a season years ago for the Kings. I think 2008, 2009. Never heard from again. Those things happen. But when you look at the final 5 games and you know that Nick Clifford is going to be in the rotation next year, then you start to pair this stuff together and you're like, "Okay, at least he's gaining confidence and he knows what he wants to do during the summer, the player he wants to be, how he wants to develop himself. And the fact that he averaged 19.4 points, like 5.8 rebounds, 4.8 assists, shot 37.5% from 3 over the last 5 games of the season. Again, you can take those numbers with a grain of salt, but the key is that he really gained a bunch of confidence. So let's dive into our first clip of Neat Clifford. End of the season, your confidence just kept growing and growing and growing. I think we saw 3 of the last 4 games score 20 or more. Where are you at walking into the summer, and how important is it that you had that sort of confidence build up so now you know what you need to work on?
That was kind of my mindset, was to just try and build some momentum going into the summertime. I already know there's a lot of things I got to work on, and, going through this season, I was able to see what I need to get better at. But these last few games, I wanted to, like I said, build that momentum going into the off season, feeling good about myself, feeling confident, like you said, and, take a couple days to, reset, recover, and then get back to work.
All right. Good stuff from Neat Clifford. Look, I don't know who Neat Clifford's going to be at the NBA level. I don't know if he's going to be a 1. I don't know if he's going to be a 2. I don't know if he's going to be a 2-3 combo, a wing, a 3. I don't know where he's going to stick. The good thing is he can defend all 3 of those positions. And his versatility, both as an offensive player and a defensive player, like it really is an extremely valuable type of player to have at the NBA level. We continuously call him a jack of all trades, master of none. He needs to become a master of 1 or 2 skills this summer, and I think he can do that. I think he can be a really good 3 and D player. We've seen the 3-point percentage skyrocket here in the second half. We've seen the defensive acumen improve. And also now he's going to spend the summer working out with these things in mind. On top of that, the ball handling aspect, what type of player, where is he going to play? Like how much energy are the Kings going to spend trying to bring the point guard out of him, or are they going to shift him to the 2 and leave him there? Like there's just a ton that we don't know about Neat Clifford yet, but what we do know is that he continued to get better each and every month, and it's something that he did at the college level too. 5-year college player at Colorado and Colorado State, but you watched him improve each and every year, and I think we started to see that same exact element to him during the regular season. So I thought it was really cool. He really didn't complain about anything this season. He just went about his business and just kept trying to get better. It wasn't always perfect. But look, this was some of the most incredible next level on the job training that you could possibly imagine. And I think the one thing about Neek is he's got a really good heart, but he's also a big time family guy. And he talked about his welcome to the NBA moment, and I want to play that next.
Oh, man, it's tough. There's a couple. Devin Booker, he was a tough cover, got me in foul trouble a little bit early. I'm used to college where you can put your hands on people a little bit, but, man, he got me out of there quick. I was looking over to the bench ready for a sub. James Harden, same thing. But the moment I feel like was actually in Denver. I got an ISO with Jamal Murray. Me and him, it felt like it was nobody else on the court, just me and him. And I'm playing the best defense of my life. All my family and friends here. I'm from Colorado, so, everybody is there.
it got super loud. Like, that was the loudest it had been the whole game. And man, I played the best defense of my life, and he just hit the tough bucket over me last second. And I was like, yeah, that's unfortunate. He gonna embarrass me like that in front of my family, man. But that was a cool moment, but it was probably my welcome to NBA moment. Like, nothing I could do about it. Like, dudes is just high level.
All right. Yeah, it's to me, it was a fun moment. It's a fun moment with Nick Clifford. All right, we're going to step aside. When we come back, we're going to hit Dylan Cardwell's exit interview, and there's just a ton to dive into. And man, is he fun. He's such a good young kid. All of these guys are, and it's been a real joy to watch them develop throughout this season. All right, we'll be right back. If you've ever opened your bank account and thought, "Where did all my money go?" You're not alone. Keeping track of subscriptions, spending, and bills can get overwhelming fast. That's where Rocket Money comes in, helping you take control of your finances all in one place. It tracks all of your subscriptions in one spot and can help you cancel the ones you don't need with just a few taps. It automatically categorizes your spending so you can actually see where your money is going. And you can get budgets, get alerts, and stay on top of upcoming bills. It just makes everything feel more organized and gives you a clearer picture of your finances day to day. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that helps find and cancel unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps lower your bills so you can grow your savings. Let Rocket Money help you reach your financial goals faster. Join at rocketmoney.com/locked on. That's rocketmoney.com/locked on. Today's show is also brought to you by 5-Hour Energy. If you've got a sweet tooth like I do, you know how tough it is to find that perfect treat without all the sugar. That's why the Fruity Rainbow 5-Hour Energy Shots brings that nostalgic flavor back in a whole new way. Fruity Rainbow 5-Hour Energy Shots treat your taste buds to an explosion of fruity flavor with a tasty caffeine kick. It's a quick, easy way to satisfy that sweet craving while keeping things simple and on the go. Zero sugar, that's awesome. So it's sweet tooth approved. I like how convenient it is. It's just a small portable shot I can grab whenever I need a little pick me up, and it's become my go to when I want something sweet without going overboard. Get candy flavored chaos with Fruity Rainbow 5-Hour Energy Shots available online at 5hourenergy.com or Amazon. All right, we have made it to the Dylan Cardwell portion of the program. And I know out there are so many people that are just incredibly huge Dylan Cardwell fans, and rightfully so. He's been just a breath of fresh air. And I don't even know how else to explain it. He's one of those guys who had to fight his way into the league. And now that he's here, you just feel like he's going to do everything in his power and backed by his deep faith, the support of his wife and his family. This is one of those guys that I think everyone is instantly pulling for and hoping that he becomes every single thing that he wants to become. um I think it's cool too because you saw Max Reno show up wearing a white T-shirt, floppy hair. Neat Clifford, he had a little bit of a fit going. Dylan Cardwell showed up wearing khakis and a polo shirt. It was literally like he was about to go start a job, start his shift at Blockbuster. And to me, it was fun because it really looked like he was heading to his first job interview, and in a way, he kind of was. Like he was heading up when he was done with us to go talk to Scott Perry and go talk to Doug Christie about what their pathway forward for him is. And look, I think some of the cool things about Dylan Cardwell, he became a fan favorite because he just brings so much energy and joy to the court. But also, he was super appreciative that Kings fans instantly accepted who he was. This wild and crazy and zany, showman. And so he even said there's a moment where he has one of his, he does like the wave his hands at everybody. And he said that he went and blocked a shot or dunked a ball, and he looked up and fans were already doing it in the stands. And that's where he had like this incredible moment of, oh my gosh, they get me. They believe in me. They love me. And so look, I think watching him play and grow. He even talked about one of the opposing players told him, "Don't let anyone steal your joy." I think it was Larry Nance. He said, "Don't let it happen." And that's something. Joy is like the best way to describe Dylan Cardwell. Another way to describe him is a perfect role player. And during his exit interview, he explained where all of that comes from. So let's dive into that clip next.
Shout out to one of my old GAs, graduate assistants at Auburn, my freshman year. His name was KT Harrell. And I never forget going into my freshman year of college, I had all these crazy goals. I wanted to be, first team, all SEC. I wanted to be SEC freshman of the year. I had all these high aspirations for myself. And the first game we played St. Joe's, and I played 10 minutes and I had 0 points. Next game we played Gonzaga, I probably played 10 minutes, had 0 points. Then we were in UCF, I scored my first college basket, and they only scored 2 points that game. And so I was talking to him while we were in Orlando playing against UCF, and I was just like, I was so down in a hole, because like I said, I had these high expectations for myself and things just weren't working out. And he pretty much told me a story about his pre-draft experience. And he wasn't blessed enough to play in the NBA, but he's blessed enough to share his experience with me, that he was, a 20-point per game scorer in college, and he didn't make it to the NBA, but he was in the same draft class as Alex Caruso, and that was a guy that defended and played with a high effort and energy. And so he gave me 3 things to remember: rebound, energy, and defense. And we called it RED, and that was my memo from freshman year up until now. I'm be the best rebounder on the court. I'm going to play with the most effort and energy on the court, and I'm going to defend the best on the court. And that's what's going to put me in a position to play and be on the court at all times. And KT showed me from a young age that the NBA had the scores. College teams have their scores, but someone has to do the dirty work. We look at Draymond Green or Ben Wallace or Dennis Rodman. These guys are Hall of Famers, and they all did what everyone else didn't want to do. And it's not a position that gets glory. There are games where my impact is felt, and I have 0 points and 5 rebounds, but we won the game by 20. And so it's an unsung hero kind of job, but it's needed. And I got to give a big shout out to KT Harrell, because if it wasn't for him, I don't know where I'd be at if it wasn't for those three letters.
All right. This is so refreshing. Know your role, save your life. This is something my old radio partner, Kyle Madsen, would say all the time. And it's a quote that he heard from Austin Rivers. I don't know if Austin said it first. I know that there's know your role, shut your mouth, which is The Rock. But it's sort of a variation on it. It is like, look, this gave Cardwell such a huge head start on the NBA, because it is so difficult to walk into the league. And if you're not a bona fide number one, you are hardly ever going to get a chance to ever prove that you can be that guy. And there are so many 20-point per game scorers at the NCAA level that never, ever, ever get a sniff of the NBA. There's a bunch of 20-point per game scorers at the G League level who still don't get an opportunity to come up and play. What you have to do in order to get in the league and to stick in the league is to be different, to do the dirty work, to do all of those things, to accept a role. And to be honest with you, it's something that I don't even really feel like Maxine Reno or Neat Clifford or Devin Carter have experienced yet. They don't know who they're going to be. They have an idea who they're going to be. They have an idea who they want to be. But Dylan Cardwell knows who he is. And that's something that somebody imparted to him in such a bold way when he was young. And, again, rebound, energy, defense, that will keep him on the court for a very, very long time. Also, to look at Dennis Rodman and what do you say, Draymond Green and Ben Wallace. Those are the perfect players for him to be watching film on. That is absolutely spectacular. He gets it. And, again, bless the kid at Auburn that helped him along this path, because you don't have to teach that to him now. Now you go out there and you do what you do and you'll find success. And to me, it's absolutely spectacular that the Kings have found a guy who gets it like this. Um, and look, like, these guys are all going to have moments, right? But in order for a player like Cardwell to stick in the league, he has to show this side. He's got to set screens. He's got to, have his guards backs as a center setting up the defense. He's got to be vocal. He's got to bring that energy and that joy. And again, this is so incredibly refreshing. I also was able to ask him about sort of this same question. When did he know that he was going to be that he had a shot to be an NBA player? And I want to play that clip, even if it does push us a little late tonight. Did you have a moment this year where you just realized that you belonged and this is where you need to be and this is your spot?
Yeah, for sure. I told a story a couple days ago, actually, but it was my first time I got called up from the G League. I was in the G League for about a month and a half, from November 8th until December 18th. I got a call up to play in Portland. In like 17 minutes, I had like 8.7 rebounds and like 3 blocks. And I followed up the next game with like 5 blocks. And it was just one of those moments where I was just like, I kind of got a rhythm of things. And then it wasn't up until, I want to say, like 2 or 3 games later after that, mid-December, we played the Rockets and the Pistons. And those are the 2 best, physical front courts. And, I wasn't getting pushed around. I held my own. And I was like, wow, from a physicality standpoint, if I'm tough enough to handle the front court of the Houston Rockets and the Detroit Pistons, I mean, I don't think anybody's going to punk me. So probably that week in December is definitely when I thought I belonged.
All right. Great stuff there from Dylan Cardwell. And I think, like, look, that is such a, like, you're welcome to the NBA moment when you get dunked on, or again, Jamal Murray torches you, for which I think most Kings fans remember that bucket. It was an absolutely spectacular bucket by Jamal Murray. But also there's these moments where these young guys kind of like looked around and said, "Hey, look, I think I think I can do this. I think I can be a ball player. I think I belong." And those are, like, way more important than getting dunked on the first time. Absolutely way more important than that, especially for the 42nd pick in the draft or the 24th pick in the draft, or an undrafted free agent that had to sit there and watch the entire draft go by and never hear your name called. So shout out to Dylan Cardwell. Just, again, he's a good storyteller. He's getting more and more confident with the media as well. I think Clifford, same thing. These guys are growing, they're developing, and they're developing not just as basketball players, but as, the whole package, what it takes to go out there and be the face of your franchise on any given night. And so I think that that's a big part of this season and a big part of their growth. All right, that's going to do it for tonight's show. We'll be back tomorrow. We've got a ton of more videos to digest off of exit interview day, including some cool stuff from Malik Monk, some really interesting things that a guy like Zach LaVine said. Also touching base with guys like Keegan Murray and Domantas Sabonis, who weren't part of this season hardly at all. Really cool stuff that we're going to process over the next week or so. On top of that, we also have exit interviews for coaches and general managers on Wednesday. So we'll have Doug Christie sound and video. We'll also have Scott Perry sound and video. These guys have incredibly busy summers, but they also are going to do it together. This is a tandem that is moving forward. Doug Christie will be the coach. Scott Perry will be the general manager moving into the summer, and we'll have to see how it all goes. All right. Thanks for tuning in to Locked On. If you don't mind, hit the thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, give us a rating and review wherever you listen to podcasts. And if you never miss an episode, the Everydayer Club is built for you. Get Locked On Kings ad-free, plus members-only Discord access and more. Head to lockedonkings.supercast.com to join the club. For those of you on video, we send you to the first ever 24/7 national NBA YouTube channel. On audio, make sure to make your second listen of the day NBA Game Night on Locked On NBA. See you soon.